Okay, everybody, get ready because tonight we are going to be talking about the Quesoloti. Now, what is the Quesoloti, you might ask? Quesoloti is the successor to the Axoloti and the Akso PCBs. So if you're not familiar with any of those, then this video might not make a lot of sense right away. But let me just show you a little example of what these boards can do. These boards are made for processing audio and MIDI and also electronic sounds. They're a little bit like a microcontroller, but they're a microcontroller board that is specifically adapted to doing stuff with music and sound. And in addition to the circuit board, they have programming interfaces that are graphical, like MaximSP or Pure Data, that you can run on your PC. So what you do is you make this amazing sound patch on your computer, and then you flash it into the board, and that lets you make instruments like this one. So let me give you a short demo of this guitar made with an Axoloti. Okay, now that's just a brief demo to show you what the heck I'm talking about. And I'd like to go a lot further in depth into some of these boards, but this first video is just for people who have been using the Axoloti for a lot of years. So if you're not familiar, this is what the original Axoloti circuit board was like. As you can probably see just by squinting really hard, this is a 168 megahertz STM F7 microcontroller. And there's also a big old DRAM chip on there. There's also these stereo audio in and stereo audio out and MIDI jacks, as well as a power supply and some other goodies too, like an SD card slot and a whole bunch of places to put analog inputs and outputs and GPIOs for LEDs, switches, everything you need in that instrument. So, for example, in the guitar I just showed you, the membrane potentiometers went to the analog inputs, and all of the force-sensitive resistors, the FSRs, those also went into the analog inputs. And then I used the high-quality codec on there. I think it's an ADAW 1921 to go into an onboard amplifier, and that's how I was able to make that that nice guitar. I dreamed of something like this, and I dreamed, and I wanted something like it, and I couldn't find anything, and then I decided I was just going to have to make it, and so I started seeking out people to make it with and asking on mailing lists about who would want to do it with me. And someone said, oh, what you actually need is Axoloti, and it had just started in a Kickstarter at the time, and I signed right up for the Kickstarter, and I got in touch with the creator, and I got one of these, and over the years I must have bought 10 or 20 of these and put them into all kinds of electronic instruments. For example, here is a guitar pedal I made based completely on the Axoloti. So you can see the MIDI and the audio inputs, and I used a whole bunch of the analog inputs to do the knobs, and this is also a 16 position selector switch that goes to the digital inputs on the Axoloti. Tons of fun to make your own effect processor and then draw it graphically, and just being able to hook it up to any synthesizer you want. Now, there's a humongous wrench in the works, and I think we all know what that wrench is. It was COVID. So around 2020, about 3 or 4 years ago, we all came down with this crazy disease called COVID, and it shut down the world, messed up supply chains, and there were a lot of traumatic, frankly, problems with that. But one of them that affected me both in my career and my musical life was a chip shortage, particularly a microcontroller shortage. And as I understand it, because of that microcontroller shortage, the creator of Axoloti, a very clever guy in Belgium named Johannes Taumann was unable to make these anymore. And so, a number of people have reached out to him, and since the pandemic has subsided, and it's still been very difficult to get these boards. Parts of his website are still up and still down, and nobody really knows what's going on. Everybody has their private life, and we really respect Johannes's legend. He's a hero to a lot of us, and we don't want to harass him or anything like that. In his good time, I like to think that he's coming up with the next best thing. I don't really know. But one thing that did happen since that era was another board came out that was called the Akso, AKSO. And this was made by a guy who has a company called Zerna Research, ZRNA. And let me show you what that looks like. This is almost exactly the same thing as the original Axoloti. It uses all the same source code, does all the same stuff, the same graphical user interface. It's just updated to a faster processor. I think this guy's around 450 megahertz. Pretty neat to have an Axoloti just with more CPU power. Only problem is these are also extremely impossible to get now. I ordered 2 of them at the time, and then they just went out of stock, and we haven't heard much from the creator of that project either. So what that means is that for a couple of years, I've been afraid to do anything with my Axolotis because I might break one, or I've been saving them for a very special occasion. And then I've even been staying up late at night with my colleagues thinking, should we make a new version of this? The source code is out there. Should we use a new processor? What should we do? Etc. And then finally, the other day, I was on the Discord for Zerna Research, just looking around, and I noticed a little post from a guy who had a pizza for an icon, and his name was Ksoloti. And I said, what is that all about? And I looked, and apparently this individual, I believe they're in England. This is all new to me. It's Wednesday. I literally just ordered this board on Thursday and arrived Tuesday. And I'm making this video now. We're going to unbox it in a second. I haven't even opened it up. This person in England, it appears they've taken the time to go and make a version of the Axoloti that they're calling the Quesoloti. I don't know if that's a pun on queso, like cheese. I literally don't know much yet. I just saw it and I was like, I have to order this because I have so many more musical instrument ideas that I need to do. So I had to get it. And now we're going to unbox it. First, let me just ground myself to some third prong of an outlet so I don't zap my nice new boards. Okay, here we go. By the way, the website said that these take 1 week to 3 weeks to ship. And so I was like, oh man, it's going to be a long time till I see this. But, it arrived, like I said, in, 5 days, including the weekend. So, the shipment was a lot faster than I thought. Of course, I'm on the East Coast of the United States, which is closer to England. By the way, the company that you can order from is called Thonk, Thonk. We've got a lot of tape on here. And it was just kind of funny also to get the email updates from the Royal Mail out of England. Made me feel pretty fancy. Okay, so here we go. The Quesoloti core. Bunch of bubble wrap. Ta-da! Here we go. So first of all, we can see it's a little bit of a different board from the Axoloti and the Akso. It looks to be a little narrower, a little wider, and a little fatter, or I don't know, shorter and fatter than the Akso, and narrower and wider than the Axoloti. Another thing I noticed is it doesn't have the original audio jacks or the MIDI jacks on there, so that's definitely a difference. So you're going to have to solder them on yourself. But let me give you a pro tip. What I found from putting these in instruments over the years is it's actually kind of better to mount the jacks on the body of the instrument because it's so much stronger. When you plug a jack into like a guitar or a guitar pedal, it could take a lot of abuse in transport, on stage, and even in the studio. So it's really not that bad to have the jacks off of the board anyway, at least in my case. The other thing is it does not use the barrel jack connectors for power like this guy does. It has just pure USB-C on there. And then it does have a big old DRAM chip on there. I don't know the particular specs yet. And it looks like the processor is an STM F429. I don't know the exact speed of that. I think it's at the original speed of 168 megahertz, but don't quote me on that. Go ahead and just put it in the comments. And here's the SD card slot. So let's just say I am super grateful and excited, not only for this board, but for the original work by Johannes. Johannes, thank you so much. We really appreciate this invention that you've brought into the world, and I'm grateful for the community around. Around Axoloti initially, there were just like dozens and hundreds of people on the forum there, all helping each other, answer questions, helping with build instructions, making patches. A lot of people were actually submitting code to the GitHub. So yeah, this is definitely an open source project. Yeah, so definitely a huge amount of gratitude. And now to the new person or people who've picked up and are making the Ksoloti, I'm really excited and happy about this. You can see he's also grateful to Johannes. He's got the original thing on there and his name, and also some new cat graphic on there. So I'm just really excited to use this. I wanted to get the announcement to everybody who watches my channel because information doesn't always propagate extremely well. This has actually been out for a couple of months and I didn't even know about it. It was only by chance that I went through that Zerna research Discord when I was just about to take up the keyboard and make my own darn version. So I'm very glad I was just able to plunk down, I don't know how much it was, about 70 British pounds, which is something like 85 American dollars, and get myself some Quesoloti. So I don't have a demo for you yet because we're just literally unboxing it, but stick around, hang out on this channel, and there's definitely going to be some more Axoloti, Akso, Ksoloti action, because that's the thing. Now that I have a ready source of these dev boards, I can go ahead and use my actual Axolotis. I've just been saving them. I can use my Ksoloti. I've just been saving them. So if you know what Axoloti and Akso are, I encourage you to definitely go out and pick yourself up a Ksoloti and keep the magic going, because this is a very special thing. Particularly for people who don't want to have to program something from the ground up and write a lot of C code, but want to make instruments that are embedded, that you can carry with you and hook up to sequencers and synthesizers. I happen to be a professional firmware engineer. That's my job. And so I could do all that stuff, but I'm not only am I tired from my job of doing it all day long, but I don't want to think on that level when I'm making music. I don't want to be thinking about the bits and the bytes. I want to be thinking about the audio and the sounds and the feelings and the meaning and everything musical, rehearsing instruments. So it's really worth it for me just to be able to buy a board that gives you everything. It gives you the GUI where you can connect the modules and save them and load them and save them in the SD cards and everything. So Um, I don't know what else to say, except I think I got to stop this video and try this out. So this is DIY DSP signing off.